If someone told you that your insurance policies issued between 1930s and 1986 were not worth the face value, but actually were worth the face value for every single claimant that makes a claim against your company, would you believe me? Would you believe Justice Alito if he said the same thing? I'm here to talk about something that's called non-products. It's a bad name for a good policy interpretation. Let's get started. I'm Scott Goddess. I'm with Dickstein Shapiro, and I represent policyholders and insurance coverage work. And for better or for worse, I have a good deal of experience in something called premises operations insurance coverage without aggregate limits, et cetera, et cetera. So, Justice Alito, you can see right there, had a case like this back when he was in the Third Circuit, a case in which I was involved and my colleagues appealed to the Third Circuit. And you can see the operations coverage is limited by a $1 million per occurrence limit, but has no aggregate cap. And you say, wait a minute, what? Hang on, what? No aggregate cap? That means that if every claimant is a separate occurrence, that every claimant will get a full set of policy limits? Yes, they will. Why? I've won on that before. 20,000 claimants in the Robert A. Keesby case, Continental Casualty versus Employers Insurance of Wausau, for which I was trial counsel, as an aside, not appellate counsel. And the judge ruled that every claimant was worth a full set of policy limits under the operations coverage if they had the right type of claim. So, what is the right type of claim? Policies have the general type of coverage is called premises operations elevators coverage. Unless any of you have a specialty practice in elevator claims, I'm going to avoid that for today. I'm going to focus on premises operations coverage. What does that mean? Any time that there is an accident or occurrence arising from your premises or your business operations, the policies cover it. Plain and simple. I'll show you the language in just a minute. There's a subset of claims, a subset of coverage, I should say, called the products hazard and called the completed operations hazard. Why do you care about that? Why you should care about that? Well, the products hazard, you can see what you get for that. There's an aggregate limit, means a hard cap on that. So if the policy says we'll pay $1 million, and there's an aggregate limit of $1 million for products hazard claims, that's all that you get. Products hazard, completed operations hazard has the same hard cap, the same aggregate limit. But, big but, premises operations coverage, show me the money, it's worth a separate limit for every single claim if every claim is treated as a separate occurrence. And you may say to yourself, how could this possibly be? Why would an insurance company write a policy with no aggregate limit, and why would every claim be a separate occurrence? This can't possibly be. Well, it is. It's true. The insurance industry back in the 1940s, when they created general liability policies, rolled up all the coverages into one and wanted to sell to businesses. And they said, we want to sell these policies. We want to give comprehensive coverage to everybody. And they say, okay, that's fine. Well, why would every claimant be treated as a separate occurrence? Ask your friends at the insurance companies who pushed for such a result in certain cases. You may have heard of the General Electric versus Appalachian Insurance case out of New York. GE had a $2.5 million deductible for its policies. What does that mean? Well, if every claim is a separate occurrence and every claim is subject to a $2.5 million deductible, how much insurance does GE get? Zero, or almost zero, unless you get above that $2.5 million per claimant. Now, the insurance companies that were above that $2.5 million deductible, knowing that if every claim is treated separately, said, hooray, every claim is a separate occurrence, please. New York Court of Appeals, affirm us on that grounds. And the Court of Appeals says, you're right. Claims are separate, there's separate exposures, there's different information here. The claim should be treated separately. Now, on the flip side, when we tried the Keesby case, we said, hooray, every claim is a separate occurrence. Every claim is subject to a separate full limit, and there was no deductible there. So it was in our interest and against the insurers.